Hey folks, I'm Mike. Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/Inkdependence. It keeps this blog ad-free. Hello and welcome to Inkdependence.com. This is a brief video review and water drop test, this time of a Diamine ink. This is another of the Shimmer-tastic series. You can see some of that shimmer right there. Look at it go. Keen-eyed viewers will notice that this is an indoor setup, not the usual natural light that I rock, but rather an artificial light sources. That's because we've got this Hurricane Hermione, or I guess they're calling it Hermine or something, whatever. It's Hermione, and it's, I don't know, made the skies all gray. Here in North Carolina, it's not a big deal here in the interior near Greensboro, so, you know, no rain or anything. Don't worry about me. There's a little bit of rain, I suppose, but nothing, no big deals. So anyway, it's just kind of gray outside and too dark to get any natural light for videography, but I still want to get this done. So we're going to use some indoor light. This will be okay. This is actually the first of these inks that I put in a pen, and it's still in that pen. I've been using it in this pen this whole time. This is one that I got at the Atlanta pen show. Yeah, I think this is actually the only ink that's been in this pen now that I think about it. This is a Karat's Customs Fountain K. It's this cool orange color, kind of a coppery orange, and then I've got a brass section on there, and that gives it the right amount of weight, I think. Still, the pen's a little bit short. I'll review this at one point, but I haven't done that yet. Anyway, this ink and this pen are kind of a perfect match. I mean, look at that. It doesn't get much better than that, right? So anyway, it's been in there for a while, and it works pretty well. It's a medium nib. It's not super big or wet or anything like that. It seems pretty normal. And I haven't had any problems until I started writing this review. This has happened to me the last couple of times I've done a review of these shimmery inks, and that's a little frustrating to me, because I've been using this ink and this pen for quite a long time, and it's been just fine. So anyway, I have a couple thoughts about that, but we'll get to that in a sec. So there's the shimmer. Not a huge amount of shimmer in this ink, actually. Like, there's certainly some. You can see the shimmer flash, but it's not as much as there is in some of the other inks. There it is next to Chromatography, and it's brighter, but I think just because it's a lighter ink with a brighter shimmer in it. But I think the J. Herbal has more shimmer usually, so I don't know. Anyway, this is a very cool ink, I think. There's not really much shading of any kind, just very little shading on the Rhodia paper there. No sheen that I can detect, but of course there's the shimmer. And I said no clogs. I'm gonna have to give this an asterisk. A little asterisk thing. No clogs until I started doing this review, unfortunately. So, let's zoom in just a little bit more. See how close I can zoom. No, not gonna do it. It's a different setup, so you know how it is. Anyway, there we go. So yeah, no clogs until this very review. So, there you go. My thoughts here are mostly this is a really good color. It's got great saturation, and the glitter isn't as in your face as some others, so I've been using this quite a bit, but really for short tasks. So let's go ahead and take a look at it on the copy paper, where it performed pretty well, except for the pen stopped writing, but that's not really the paper's fault, so I won't blame that. But this is the copy paper test, and as you can see, it totally stopped writing there at the end. The first line is good, then you hit like a whole bunch of shimmer there, and the part where it says copy paper, and then it just goes downhill. And where it says from, that's just kind of starts petering out, and then you can see there's less and less and less, and then here it's just really not going. So I swear this is the first time this happens. And well, here, let's look at the back. See, nothing. Like, really good performance, except for right there, but that's where I was like going over and over an N, I think. Yeah, I was trying to make it work, but it just wasn't doing it. So my hypothesis is that I've been using this pen for like, I don't know, a few months of this ink with no issues, but I've been using it for like short stints. Like, I'll make notes in my my day planner with it, or I'll grade papers with it, and that involves a lot of like capping and uncapping, and not a lot of like extended tip down use. And I think what's happening probably is that all the shimmer that lives in this ink must be falling to the bottom of this well here, and you can see there's that shimmer right here. Right there. It must be just falling to the bottom and then getting stuck in the feed and clogging the whole shebang up. Once I flex the nib just a little bit, which is not a flexible nib or anything, it's just a regular old nib, but, you know, pull the tines apart, let some more fluid flow through there, and it starts up again, but not super easily. So that might be one thing to notice about these inks, is that when you're using like a smaller nib, this is only a medium, it's not like it's got a huge amount of flow or anything like that, it's just kind of, you know, normal. When using these normal nibs with these specialty inks, sometimes they're going to stop up because the shimmer will fall to the bottom and it'll get all clogged up. So, you know, keep that in mind when you're using these guys. Either use something with a big wet feed or maybe a folded nib. Folded nib stuff with these inks looks amazing. I don't have a folded nib, but I've seen other people do it. So, you know, follow Farles Barkley on Instagram. If you're not following Farles Barkley, you're doing something wrong. That guy does cool stuff with a folded nib. Anyway, here are some color comparisons. There's not real. I don't really have anything that's this close to this copper. Maybe like Diamine Ancient Copper is pretty close, but not exactly. This is definitely lighter than that, I think. So you get this kind of nice light brown color. Brown, I mean, it's like a brownish red. It's coppery, really. Chromatography is much darker. It's a much darker brown. You can see the base color there. Robert Oster's red-orange is one I've just gotten, and that's kind of close. It's in the same vein, anyway. Black Swan and English Roses is one that I've just inked up a little while ago. I haven't used this one before, and it's kind of more red, but kind of still close. And then Bookbinder's Eastern Brown, which I'm liking a lot so far, is definitely more brown than the Brandy Dazzle. So nothing really identical to Brandy Dazzle. Unfortunately, I suppose, but that's the way it goes. So, alright, let's go ahead and do the water test. Let's see, here it is. And we'll look at some other paper samples and that kind of jazz. So, let's squirt some water on here. There we go, that ought to be enough, I think. Alright, that's enough time. Let's go ahead and mop this up carefully so I don't get it all over my wife's nail polish desk setup. Speaking of nail polish, I have a little note about that here in just a minute, so hold tight. Alright, so there we go. Lots of this came up, including most of the lines. No real water resistance. You can definitely see it coming off. And if I left it there any longer, or if I used anything, you know, stronger than water as a solvent, I'm sure it would have just come entirely off. So, you know, don't sign checks with this, but you're probably already not doing that. So probably not a big deal, but be aware, very little to no water resistance on Brandy Dazzle. Alright, so let's look at a couple of different paper samples. Let's see, firstly, chromatography, that's what I do next. Here we go. So this is here we go, it's the chromatography for this ink, and it's a heck of a lot more red than I thought it was going to be. Like, if you just handed me this this chromatography, the sort of coppery orange color doesn't really come out at all. Like, you don't really, and I guess there's maybe some up here at the top, but, whoa, come on, focus. There we go, that's better. You get a little bit of it up here at the top, but not a whole lot. The rest of it's like pinks and reds and like a little bit of orange maybe. Some like lavender base perhaps. So yeah, not a whole lot going on there that's orangey except for at the very top note. So very cool chromatography on this one, but it would be tough to tell what it was if you didn't already know. Alright, let's look at a couple of paper samples. This is a little notepad that I got from Chris of Write Notepads. This is a Write Notepads paper. It did bleed through, but that's not super surprising because I just like splooshed some on there and moved it around. You just can see a lot of that Brandy Dazzle on a more absorbent paper. This is a nice heavyweight paper, but it's not coated like the Rhodia or anything like that. So you definitely get a little more of that. But the bit that I wrote didn't, you know, come through. It just shows through because, you know, a darker ink on a white paper. So there you go, that's sort of a normal paper style. And this is definitely not normal paper, but it is a good paper for inks like this. This is Tomoe River. And you can see, here's a little swatch of it. You can see a lot of shimmer there. And you don't really see that shimmer until it dries. That's one of the things about these inks as well, is that as it dries, the shimmer comes to the front. So not a whole lot of shimmer until you get to the end of the drying process. But then you get plenty. And actually, this is where I actually just screwed the converter and put a couple of drops on here. So this is like right after it clogged up. So plenty of shimmer there. I think there was a shimmer dam. And then here's just like a bigger swoosh or sploosh or swatch or smear or what have you. And some of it actually started coming through this Tomoe River just a little bit. Which is pretty impressive. I haven't really seen that before. This is a Papier Plume ink here, so for as a contrast, but definitely some of this started coming through just a little bit, which is weird. That's the first time I've seen it with Tomoe River. So it can happen if you put enough ink on a page, and it will come through even Tomoe River. But I had no problems on Rhodia. I have had no problems on regular copy papers, even terrible copy papers. copy papers that students use to turn in homework. I mean, you're going to get some bleed and some feather and stuff, but on more average sorts of copy paper, no problem. All right. Thanks to Anderson Pens for sending this out for review. This is the bottle, or the little, what do you call this thing? Tube? Test tube. No. Anyway, this is the container that you get this ink in. There's some shimmer right there you can see in the bottom. It does tend to settle, so you'll want to shake it up a little bit. If it's in a pen, I usually just roll the pen around, and that's enough to shake the ink loose, or shake the shimmer loose into the ink, and then you can write with it. But anyway, there you go. There's a couple of tips. Alright, here's one last thing before we head out. This is part of the Nibs and Nails series that my wife Audrey and I are doing. She does nail polish blogging, and I do ink blogging. And so she got some some polish makers, that is, to make a version of Brandy Dazzle. And they said, I'm not really sure what to do because it looks very different on the paper as compared to in the bottle. And so they did two. So this one is the version that looks like what it is in the bottle, which is actually super close, I think. That's very, very close. And then this is supposed to be what it looks like on the page. I think also that's very close. So that's very cool. So good job. If you're interested in checking out the nail polish version of this ink, head over to writeonthenail.com and you'll find this this post over there, or her post about this polish over there. And you can also enter to win some of these inks. So that's cool. If you like nail polish, head on over there and get some of that. Alright, so that's it. I am Mike. This is Ink Dependence. This has been Diamine's Brandy Dazzle Shimmertastic ink. It's Nibs and Nails Day, so go over to writeonthenail.com, follow at writeonthenail, follow at Ink Dependence, both on Instagram, and I will see y'all around. Peace out.